Welcome back to Casuals Corner for our third and final instalment of title fights. And today, by process of elimination, we have Amanda Nunes, Amanda the Lioness Nunes v Megan Anderson, who, when I had a look, didn't actually have a cool little name.
No, I think her name's actually Megan, which is just weird.
So this was the thing, yeah. You said it a couple of times, and I kept hearing it, but there's something in me that just doesn't allow me to say that. I just think of Drake and Josh. That's all I can think.
Why is he saying Megan like that?
Megan. Nah. Let's get into it then.
Hell
Amanda Nunes v Megan Anderson. What are your thoughts, feelings, predictions? Let's go.
Yeah, it's hard to see any other outcome than the Lioness winning, right? It's like she's just so well-rounded. Like she can just put it anywhere, and we've seen from Megan her weakness. Well, I say weakness, right? But her striking's a strong suit, so Amanda can take it where she's not as strong. So I think she's gonna maybe grapple her, mix it up. But I do think she will take her down at some point, and I don't know if Megan will get back up.
Since you just said that, we'll have a look just so quickly at some statistics for her then. Her takedown defense, Megan Anderson, and I'm going to call her Megan throughout this just for the sake of my own sanity, but her takedown defense rate is 53%, which is not shocking. But if we have a look at Amanda Nunes' takedown average per 15 minutes, it's 2.53, which is high, with a takedown defense of 84%. And as we know, Amanda Nunes is a black belt in judo and BJJ. So even though she's no joke, Megan Anderson is actually a purple belt. So she's not she's not necessarily new to the game, but there's levels.
There's levels. It's one of them things as Megan, whatever you want to call her. We've seen that she's been submitted by Felicia Spencer before, and Amanda has fought her. I know MMA math's not necessarily a thing, but in terms of like the level of grappler, and she would have got better since then, right? But it's just a case of, I think Amanda would be too much on the feet and on the floor. I just think she's just on another level. She's the GOAT, not even the woman's GOAT. She's just the GOAT. What do you think?
The thing with Nunes is, I think firstly, and this is going to be, and we're going to come back to the cage argument that we had the other day, just to sort of factor this in just a touch. Typically, we know that Anderson is the rangier, longer fighter. She sits behind quite a nice jab, actually. She gets that jab off quite nicely. She slips out of it after quite nicely as well. But I think, weirdly enough, the smaller cage is going to do her a little bit of a favour, just because her defense is better against the defense. I think if she was in a big cage and she gets taken down in the middle of the canvas, I think it's going to be a difficult evening for her. But at least with a small cage, she can sort of work her way back to the fence and at least try and start working for there. Because I think Amanda Nunes' safest road to victory is going to be to look to take her down. But will we see that? I'm not so sure, because you never know with Amanda Nunes. That's the thing. She has that sort of aggressive killer instinct in her eyes. So you're never too sure with her if she's going to go the safe route or if she's just going to start swinging hands.
Do you know what I love about her? Like, she legit is like, she's smiling when she's in there throwing punches at you. Like, she's just a savage. She's the GOAT for a reason, in my opinion. I think I actually disagree with you, but that's okay. About the smaller cage working for Anderson, Megan, I'd say Amanda can get to the fence, has some good takedowns, some good trips, and will show her dominance, in my opinion, and show why she is the GOAT.
I think I don't feel like necessarily this is going to be the hardest evening for Nunes. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a hardest fought victory, but I think it does pose difficulties that she hasn't necessarily had before.
Well, she's a threat, no doubt.
She's standing at 6 foot with a 72-inch reach.
She's an athlete. She is an athlete. Like, I was looking at her weighing in, and like, I wouldn't mind looking like that, even though she's a woman. Like, she's massive. She's her legs, her arms. She's just an athletic big woman who can fight. Don't get me wrong, but it's a case of like, she might technically be more athletic than Nunes, but Nunes has seen athletic people before. She knocks out guys in sparring like pretty regularly by all accounts. So like she trains with athletic people. She's with a great team. She's at 45, so she's big, she's strong. Whereas Megan will be coming down. She's cutting that weight, but yeah, I just think Nunes is on another level. But I might eat those words.
The interesting thing was when I was having a look at the fight, it was so favourable to Nunes. I almost thought, oh, it's worth sort of a fiver the other way, just because there's so much going one way. You never
Anything
know.
can happen. Anything
Exactly.
can happen.
And like we were sort of saying earlier, if we have a look at the approaches they're both going to want to sort of take, I think what Nunes has to do firstly is nullify the jab of Anderson, because she does have a 3-inch reach advantage on her, and she does have a nice jab as well. And it could, and you know how it is. We saw, if we take one of my sort of actual favourite recent fights, if we take the Moreno-Figueiredo fight of recent, we see what can happen what was meant to be a mismatched fight. We can see what happens when someone just gets their jab just flowing, because it is an equaliser. So it will be intriguing to see if she can sort of get into a rhythm with that, because I did watch a few of her last fights, and she did have this ability to sort of get into that flow, the same way that we sort of, not necessarily to the extent, but the same way we'll see like a Max Holloway get into the rhythm, or same way we get sort of a Dustin Poirier start letting the arms go. It's a little bit like that. So saying that, obviously on the receiving end of it is a killer that I think she's going to try and nullify that range, almost get inside and just let them hands go and try and be super aggressive.
With the top of that long jab all day. Everything Amanda throws is with so much power. Like, I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you. Like, I've seen people with power, but every strike, and she's so accurate. She can just, like, once she starts teeing off on someone, like, she doesn't miss. And like she's just hit him like with full power straight on the chin. It's beautiful to watch. It actually is. It's a crazy level of power for a human to possess, especially like a lighter woman. Like, not many women have that sort of one-shot power, but Nunes has got it in everything.
Having a look
she
at
throws.
her stats here, so her strikes landed per
Nunes.
Amanda Nunes, her strikes landed per minute of 4.44. So very, very high. Like, I think roughly about the same as Petty Young when we was actually having a look.
Yeah.
But if we compare that to Megan Anderson, for example, is 1.82, which obviously is quite literally half. But one thing that I did realise, and one thing that I saw a couple of times with Megan Anderson is, and I know that we're talking about an absolute specimen when it comes to Amanda Nunes, but like I just said previously, she has the killer instinct and she can just taste a finish. She doesn't rush things necessarily.
Who's this, Megan or Amanda? Sorry.
Amanda.
Yeah.
She has that sort of nose for when she smells blood. She doesn't necessarily rush things, but she can smell it. I don't know whether Anderson has that sort of deathly touch yet. I don't know if she's got that sort of where she just knows, okay, this is it, this is my moment, sort of goes. It's still a little bit hesitant, which can sort of go against you, especially when facing someone like Amanda. One thing that I actually was quite intrigued by, and one thing that can sort of level fights out, as we know, is a knee. And if we have a look at Amanda's stats with 2.53 takedowns, and we know that, well, we would guess that it's going to go to the floor at some point. With Megan Anderson being so limmy, those knees, those legs, they pose a problem.
You've got to be careful. You really do, coming in on someone like that.
Because if we have a look at Holly Holm against, was it Holly Holm or was it Ronda?
Who's this, Amanda?
No, it was Anderson with the knee. Yeah, it was Holly Holm. It was Holly Holm fight, sorry.
Yeah.
And Holly Holm did exactly that. She was against the cage. She level changed and she walked into a nasty knee. She was lucky because she got caught just on the fleshy bit.
Yeah.
So it just missed the sort of...
Yeah. With someone like that, it's like having a second uppercut almost. Someone who's long like that and can just get their knees up so fast. Dan Hooker's the same. He can just get that knee straight up the middle, and obviously knee. So if that does come in, that is going to tipple the chin, and if it lands, you're going to go out. But
it's because it's so steep, right? It just comes literally from the trajectory of the floor straight to the chin, like such efficient power, like straight.
It's such a weapon. It's such a weapon, right? You got to play to your advantage. and she's got that right hand and she's money. So they've both got their weapons, right? Just about who can implement their game plan. And I think Nunes, well, I know Nunes is just a champion, you know. She's just a champion. So she'll be wary of that, in my opinion, and negate that. But who knows?
Do you think that this is going to be her hardest night out yet?
No, her hardest fight was against Shevchenko, I think. And like if they match up again in the future, I think that's the hardest fight she'll have in terms of style. Someone who can bring it everywhere and really like compete with her in the striking, the caliber of striking.
What I'm going to push to you, as always, and I want the standard who, what, when, why, how. Trying to think of other ones, but I don't think there are any.
When?
When? When? What is going to happen this evening with the champ?
I think that Anderson comes from a good camp. I really like James Krause, her coach. He's fought in the UFC for a while, but I just like him. I think he's good. I think he's a great coach. He's got a good team. I think they'll have a good game plan, but I think you can only plan so much against an opponent of that caliber that is that ferocious and who is like a legit knockout artist, but also a martial artist who knows how to compete, when to put a foot on the gas, how to win, and how to stop people. So I've got to go with the Lioness. She's on another level right now, I think. And I'm even going to give you a bonus prediction. I think she'll beat her. I think she'll stop her. And I think she'll hang it up.
You reckon so, yeah?
I think so. There's not a lot left for her, I think.
Are you saying that because of the child?
Yeah, she's a mum now.
Yeah.
I think she might do like similar to what Henry Cejudo's kind of doing, like retire, relinquish the belt, and then when like a clear challenger comes, she'll be like, all right, it's on. Because she's cleaned it out. She can't go down and fight like Weili and stuff. She can run it back with Shevchenko, but
I think you're right. There's not an awful lot. Well, I say there's not an awful lot. There's nothing really left for her to do if she takes the win, that is. So it would be interesting. And that is a huge, huge bonus prediction.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could probably even get that at the bookmakers, I imagine.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely so.
Some weird bets. Give me your thoughts.
I'll have a look at it. I think because we watched Nunes' last fight, actually, didn't we? And we thought that it was going to be a sort of first round knockout, but the other girl, she showed a bit of heart. I think that you're right. I don't think this is necessarily going to be her hardest fight, but I think it's going to definitely pose issues that she hasn't necessarily had before. What you touched upon just a second ago, I think, is 1,000% correct. And I think that's what sets the levels at the top of the tree. When you've been there and done that with a complete wealth of experience, you've been in those situations, you've had those 5-rounders, you've had those championship fights. It's just a different game that you've played more times than they ever have.
That experience. You
just can't put a sort of price on that experience because it is completely invaluable. So I think you're 100% right. She's going to know how to play it. Even if Megan Anderson comes in with the best game plan and puts it to effect, I just feel like Amanda Nunes, 9 times out of 10, gets
It's hard
this
to bet
done.
against her. It's hard to bet.
Exactly.
When do you think? Do you think she stops her?
I think she stops her. I don't know if I'm being more wishful, but I think Megan Anderson actually starts quite well. I think she has a fresh sort of 2-3 rounds. 2 rounds, definitely, maybe getting into the third. I think where she implements a nice game plan, she sort of sits behind the jab, keeps a nice distance. But I think after that, Amanda Nunes is just going to wear her down a little bit with her power, and she's just going to bring it on late in the rounds. I just think she's seen there and been there. So I'm going to say I always have a habit of forgetting what you said and then saying the same thing. What did you say?
Did I say stoppage? I said
you said stoppage.
You know what? I reckon she'll submit her, actually. I'm changing my mind. I do think the grappling will be the difference, and I think she'll show it, and I think she'll go the path to least resistance. I think they'll fight on the feet, don't get me wrong, but I think she will get like a 3rd round submission. That's what I'm going for.
I'm going to go for a 4th round. I'm going to go a 4th round finish, ground and pound, and I'm going to play it out I'm going to play it out as she gets her up to the fence, and we're going to see a nice throw or a nice trip somewhere, and she's just going to do what she does, and she's just going to finish on top with elbows. And I think anyone just doesn't really stand a chance once that happens with her. She's so heavy on top, so heavy, and she just applies pressure so well. So I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a late stoppage, and I think it's going to come from some elbows.
And then she hangs it up.
Yeah, which is an interesting one, which I hadn't actually thought about until you said that, but it sort of plays out quite.
Yeah,
it does play out.
You got to think, right? Like in men's, if I was to say to you, who's the GOAT, who's the best, you could make an argument. You could be, GSP, John Jones, could be maybe, and like you can listen to any argument. But if you say who's the best woman MMA fighter ever, you'd look like an idiot if you didn't say Nunes. You're like, how could you not say Nunes? Like she's sitting at the top. That there's no debate, right? Like there's nothing. So until someone kind of challenges that, I think she's going to hang it up.
Well, pound for pound anyway, no one has ever done what she's done or doing. So
yeah, defended both. It's pretty impressive.
It's an incredible feat when you have a look at it of being the champ. Because the thing is, the reason it makes it so impressive, I think, is if we compare it to boxing, for example, when there are a million different weight classes and the increments are so small, it's literally just a couple of pounds. Like it's a few pounds, not a lot. But when you have a look at UFC, they're not 2-3 pounds, 5-6 pounds. They are
10, 15. Yeah.
Exactly. They are big gaps. So it's not necessarily, it makes it a different sport, but it just throws out 100 more questions than it does at a different thing. So
they're weight classes for a reason. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think to be the champion at 1 is obviously an incredible feat. And I think to be the champion at 2, I think is very, very special talent. So yeah, she definitely earns the title as one of the GOATs.
Mad. Do you know what the beautiful thing is about all of this? We're going to find out. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
I think that pretty much wraps it up for today of the third and final title contender. Any last pieces to add before we go and enjoy the evening?
Let's go. Fight day. Let's go. Nothing like it. Nothing compares.
One last thing before we go. I genuinely will say that I have been looking forward to this day
mate, let's go.
For weeks and months on end. So I am pumped. And I think
life's good.
We're pretty much going to do this a similar thing. We're going to get a horrible amount of food, sit down.
You know the vibes.
Can of White Monster.
Yeah.
Big takeaway.
Let's go. I've got my purple one ready.
Stacked card. Nice. Tell me you're an MMA fan without telling me you're an MMA fan.
There we go.
Purple Monster. Right. Pretty much is it. Thank you for watching. We've been Casuals Corner, and you've been one of our many, many watchers. As always, if you want to drop us a message, you know where to find us at Casuals Corner on Instagram, and also drop into the comments below who you've got on your predictions.
And why.
And if Amanda Nunes is going to retire. Love and peace.